That's the tariff the United States is about to impose on virtually everything imported from China. Not 5%, not 20, 145. The highest rate on a major trading partner since the Great Depression. And here's the strange part. Right now, the rate is only 30%. Markets are calm, ships are sailing, store shelves are full. But on August 10th, the clock runs out, and nobody, not Washington, not Beijing, not Wall Street, has a plan for what comes next. So what happens when the world's two largest economies go from truce to full economic war in a single day? That's exactly what we're going to find out. And that number, 145, remember it, it becomes much more important later. Here's why this matters to you. Even if you've never bought a single thing directly from China, roughly 60% of electronics sold in America have Chinese components inside them. Your phone charger, your laptop, your kid's tablet. At 30% tariffs, prices already climbed. Goldman Sachs estimated the average American household pays an extra $800 a year. Now multiply that by almost 5. At full tariff, JPMorgan's model says the annual cost per household could hit $2,200. That's your grocery bill, your electricity, your energy costs rising across the board. The IMF warned that if these tariffs snap back, global GDP growth drops by a full percentage point. Trillions of dollars, millions of jobs. This isn't a trade dispute. This is a countdown pointed at your wallet. So how did we get here? On May 12th, the US and China sat down in Geneva. Tariffs had already hit 145%. Trade was freezing, so they agreed to a 90-day pause, drop tariffs to 30%, negotiate in good faith. The media called it a breakthrough, markets surged, but here's what the headlines missed. 30% is not normal. Before this trade war started, the average US tariff on Chinese goods was about 3%. The so-called truce was 10 times higher than the old baseline. That's like a doctor saying your fever dropped from 106 to 103. You're still very sick. This has happened before. In 1930, America passed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, raised tariffs on 20,000 goods. Every trading partner retaliated. Global trade collapsed by 65%. The economy cratered. The depression got worse. And that was at roughly 20% tariffs. Today's rate is 145. Here's what almost nobody is talking about. In the 8 weeks since Geneva, US imports from China surged 34%. Not because trade is healthy, because companies are panic buying, stuffing warehouses before the tariffs snap back. August isn't just a tariff deadline, it's a supply cliff. The warehouses fill up, and then nothing new comes in at a price anyone can afford. So here's where things stand. The Geneva truce was never a solution, it was a delay. 90 days of talks produced 0 binding agreements, and on August 10th, tariffs jumped from 30 to 145. But what does Beijing actually see from their side? China doesn't want this fight either. 40% of China's manufacturing workforce depends on export orders. These tariffs don't just hurt American consumers, they gut Chinese factories. Inflation in China's manufacturing regions is already negative. That's deflation. That's fear. Beijing's calculation is simple. Give in on tech subsidies and lose their technological future. Hold firm and lose their present. They chose to protect the future. And China has leverage. It controls 80% of global rare earth processing. Those minerals are inside every EV battery and missile guidance system on Earth. China also holds $800 billion in US Treasury bonds. Selling even a fraction pushes up American interest rates, your mortgage, your car payment, all connected to the global economy in ways most people never see. Understanding their logic is not the same as agreeing with it. Do you think China can absorb this shock, or does something break? Drop your answer in the comments. So both sides have weapons, both sides have pain coming, and none of this lands gently on ordinary people. What does this actually look like for someone real? Maria is 38. She runs a small online business selling kitchen gadgets from her garage in Columbus, Ohio. 90% of her products come from suppliers in Shenzhen. In May, she placed her biggest order ever, $60,000 of inventory, enough to last through Christmas. But if tariffs hit 145%, her $20 garlic press costs $29 just to import. She'd have to sell it for $45. Nobody pays $45 for a garlic press. Remember that number from the very beginning, 145. For Maria, it's not a policy debate, it's not a headline, it's the end of everything she built in 5 years. Here's what almost nobody is talking about. There are 2.1 million small businesses in the United States that import directly from China. 2.1 million Marias. The tariff debate in Washington focuses on semiconductors and steel. The real casualties are kitchen gadgets, phone cases, children's toys, pet supplies, the economy most people actually live in. 3 scenarios from here. Best case, a last-minute framework extends the truce. Tariffs stay at 30%. Markets exhale, but nothing is solved. The bomb just resets. Realistic case, tariffs snap to 145. Both sides posture, eventually negotiate down to 70. Serious economic damage, but contained over 12 to 18 months. Worst case, full escalation. China retaliates with rare earth export bans. The US responds with secondary sanctions. Oil prices spike on shipping disruptions. Inflation returns with force. The IMF's 1% GDP hit becomes 3. Which scenario plays out? Tell me in the comments. 3 things to watch in the coming weeks. First, any announcement of new trade talks before mid-July. No talks by then means worst case gets more likely. Second, the yuan exchange rate. If China lets it weaken past 7.5 to the dollar, they're preparing to fight. Third, rare earth export data out of China. Any restriction tightening is an escalation signal. The people who understand the structure of the world are the ones who are never surprised by it. Before we go, here's something most people don't know. The fortune cookie isn't Chinese. It's Japanese-American, invented in San Francisco in the early 1900s. It was adopted by Chinese-American restaurants during World War II when Japanese-American business owners were sent to internment camps and their shops were taken over. Sometimes the things we fight over aren't even what we think they are. Next time, we're looking at what India is quietly building while the US and China tear into each other. That one is going to surprise you. If this gave you something new, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.